Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Autocrat Prime. Oh, excuse me. Man, that's a brain. See, it's like a mixed up day today. A community for all of us. And I have a special guest today, Dennis GotBot. Very, very excited. Thank you so much for being a part and being able to come in today.
Happy to be here, man.
Now, Ultimate Wolf is running a little bit behind. He is supposed to be here. That's why we're switching things up. So as soon as he gets in, you'll also see him. So
Okay.
you were sharing with me right before we got started. You were doing some reviews that you were getting ready to finish and have go up, correct?
Yeah.
You want to give any spoilers? Which ones they are?
Um. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you. I even have a tease. We'll say for you. I actually filmed 3 reviews.
Oh wow!
I only told you 2 because the third one I'm not going to say yet because the third one is actually going to be part of an unboxing this coming Thursday for the live show. I have the review done, but I'm going to wait and let that one be an unboxing on Thursday. But for the 2 that you saw, the plan is for hopefully tomorrow to put up Snapdragon,
Nice.
where not only do I look at the guy, of course, I show him off next to the other headmasters and whatnot. Big fan, but I'm not going to say he's perfect. Actually, there was one area, one thing about him that I was like, really? I think that could have been done a little bit better. You'll see what it is tomorrow, or if we end up going into it tonight, I might talk about it, but I don't want to really spoil anything. It's just one little nitpick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think he's fantastic. Like, he looks perfect. And the other one, of course, is the mammoth Scorponok. Man, my swan song. I've been calling it to Titan class. I mean, for investment of money, for space, like, you can only do so many. And I feel like having the main ones, I'm good with that. With his, of course, we obviously will go through the usual stuff, the usual rigmarole of his modes and whatnot. And I'll kind of conclude that one off with taking a look at my ultimate Decepticon base. Now, I've looked at the Autobot one many times,
Right.
and I've kind of kept adding to it, but the ultimate Decepticon one, the last time I sort of updated it and looked at it was in episode 300 when I looked at Crypticon about, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So this is going to be, I'm really looking forward to this Decepticon base and showing that off, because it's largely going to be the basis of the base, at least from the outside, that I plan to use as part of Universal Collision Season 3.
Well, Nikki's going to be extremely excited. That she's been drooling over that. She had to make a decision: do I go with that or do I go with the Skylinks? I'm glad she got the Skylinks, but for you, that's got to be a lot more expensive and stuff too. Because
Yeah, it is. There's a reason sometimes I don't get stuff as early as some people, like the Skylinks. Okay,
Mhm.
let's talk about both of them. The Skylinks here, it's really actually interesting what happened with Skylinks. Skylinks here has really only been cited at Toys R Us. Now, I think there are a couple of sightings at EB Games, but I can guarantee you our Walmart will not carry a Commander class. They're hard pressed right now to even carry leaders, because a leader here is $69 to $74, depending.
Whoa.
A commander is 100 and I'm going to say 19. However, something strange happened. A little while ago, the price for Skylinks actually went up to 129. I assume it's because of demand. When I got him, I was lucky. I got him on sale, and I had a couple of those like Toys R Us coupons, like through the R Club stuff that you could apply. So I got mine for about 75 Canadian. I got mine like at a really good price.
Very, very nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Scorponok Titans here retail for $249 plus tax. Again, I pre-ordered mine back in February, and I got mine for more like $199 Canadian. So I got about $50 less. And to me, like, I was like, yeah, that's about as good as it's gonna get. We don't get the prices like you guys get. Like, nothing shows up at like Ollie's. We don't have that. We don't have anything like that. And even if we did, they don't stick around long enough to show up there. In my province, we don't get a big enough cut. Like, rumor is that the Toys R Us here, rumor is just from the community, the local community, is that our Toys R Us here probably won't get any Skylinks at all.
Hmm. And that's
I ordered mine, so.
And that always amazes me because I was talking to Optimus Wilbur.
Yeah.
And he was, he was talking about the same thing. He's like, he says, I still can't believe that you got your Triptychon for $40. And I said, yeah, but it was at Ollie's. So I mean, that's why I got my how. And a lot of people don't realize, but in the States, we're very, 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 very lucky because we have multiple. The market is a little bit bigger sometimes, I guess, here.
Yeah.
And so that makes a big, big difference.
Well, look at something that is a Target exclusive. In Canada, something that's a Target exclusive there, because sadly we don't have Target anymore. I miss it. I love Target personally. I would give up our 4 Walmarts to have our 1 Target back.
Totally agree.
But I just found it a nicer shopping experience. But that aside, here, something that's a Target exclusive there is a Toys R Us exclusive here.
Okay.
So let's look at the Seeker 2-pack, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you right now that a grand total of 12 made it to my province. I know this because we have 1 Toys R Us, and I know that they had 1 shipment of 4 and another shipment of 8.
Okay.
Last I knew, there was 1 set left on the shelf. Like, they're not going to shelf warm. They're not going to go down in price. 1 person is going to get that, and you're lucky that you got it for the retail price. You're not going to get it on sale. It's the way it is.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to Ninja Bill earlier today while he was playing a video game. Yep. And he's like, I saw you got the 2-pack. I said, yeah, I haven't taken them out yet, but yeah, I got them. I was going to get him 1, but there was only 1 left at the store. So I told him I would keep my eyes open for him. But that I agree. Target for us is typically the best place to get Transformers.
It was here. Like when I'm going to tell you now, for the short time that we had it,
mm-hmm.
the only place that I ever saw, I didn't pick it up. I wish I had now, but the only place I ever saw Voyager Brainstorm, and I only saw 1 of them, was at Target.
Really?
The only place I ever saw in store the Fall of Cybertron Skywarp was Target. And the place where I started Combiner Wars,
mm-hmm.
about 3 months before any of the other stores got anything, was Target.
And see, that's what's crazy, because everything you said, I have none of those due to the fact that at the time we only had a Walmart where we are.
Yep.
And they didn't carry the Generations class. They just didn't. They carried the 1 steps, they carried the cartoon of the Tom, but never Generations. And then when we got the Target, I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I can actually go into Target now and get a Generations. I don't have to get it from Big Bad Toy Store or TF Source or anything like that. I can get it right there.
Yeah.
But speaking of like that, I mean, as a collector and a fan, I mean, that's got to be frustrating for you. And also as a reviewer, I mean, how do you be able to balance that?
The like availability, you mean?
Yeah, availability and no one mentions what you grab.
Okay, I in a few ways, I suppose. One, I've gotten into this year doing more pre-orders. I never done pre-orders in my life, but 2020 has been so upside down that I feel like I need to do them. So I do tend to do some pre-orders. Now, I'm fortunate in that I have a few contacts who work at some of the local retailers.
Oh, that's good.
And they know me. They know I'm a reviewer, and they know like like when new stuff comes in, like I'll send business their way. So they usually will contact me and let me know, hey, we got such and such. Do you want it? Or sometimes they'll say, we're definitely not getting a cut of this or that. The only way that we're going to get a cut of it is if we have somebody specifically requested, like a specific order. So I've done that before as well. It doesn't work all the time. It's getting harder and more challenging and more of a nuisance. But EB Games has expanded. They didn't carry Transformers really until dabbling a little bit with Power of the Primes. They got a few, and now they get a limited run, and they get a limited amount. But it is from them where I got, for example, Siege Springer.
Nice.
I wouldn't have had it other than them, right?
Mhm.
So like, it is frustrating. I've resolved myself that you guys are likely to get stuff months before me. It's all I can do. I used to worry about it. What's strange is I find different parts of the world get things first. Unfortunately for us, like the last times I would say we've gotten stuff first is we had stuff first during RID 2015, and I got it, I reviewed it, and I kept some of the characters, but generally that's not the most collector friendly line, although it's too bad because they had some great offerings. And we got some of the recent Cyberverse stuff first. Like, I think I was the first or close on the first to put up the Battle Call reviews for Wild Wheel and Meteor Fire, and then you guys got it shortly after. It is what it is. Like, it's frustrating. Yeah, it's a pain. Yeah, would I have liked to have had Scorponok earlier since I pre-ordered them in February?
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time, I saved $50. So, oh well, I guess I had to wait till the camp comes. Tell you what the trick is. The trick is, if you're going to be later getting it, do something that adds value. Like for me, the added value when I looked at the Seeker 2-pack was that I was able to show 2 fixes for 2 QC issues.
Okay.
The added value for Scorponok is going to be seeing that Ultimate Decepticon base and kind of how it has evolved and what it could look like if somebody, gets this stuff and puts it together. I do plan to kind of update that once we get the rest of the Micromaster bases and stuff, just like I plan to update the Ultimate Autobot base when we got the rest of the Micromaster bases and stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just waiting to see how long it takes us to get those bases.
Yeah, and talking about pre-orders, I used to do mine through Amazon. I don't do it anymore because, I contacted to find out why my last 3 pre-orders has been delayed, and I was like, why? It's a pre-order. You order back in February. You would think you would know how many people, but how they do it is a first come, first serve, and you can buy as many of them in that pre-order as possible. And I'm like, wow. So that really helps out anybody as a scalper and stuff like that. I get it. You can make money. Kudos to you. But for as a collector, it's really disheartening because there's a lot of characters that you just can't find sometimes.
Well, you know what? You touched on 2 things there that I want to comment on. The first is Amazon pre-orders. I was supposed to have my Ironhide and Prowl arrive 8 p.m. Friday.
Okay.
That didn't happen. That did not happen. Mine has been delayed, and it's basically now if you go to the link, it basically says like item is out of stock. We don't know when or if it'll be back in stock.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that what they have done is delayed. Some people said that they got a cancellation email. I didn't get that.
I did.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Mine said it's delayed. My guess is it's going to be delayed until sometime in November because you guys are supposed to have it come out in November. I think it's going to get delayed until then. But their dates are all over the place. Like everybody down there, for example, got the Dirge and Ramjet 2-pack. Here, that's not even scheduled for release until October 1st.
Wow.
So, I here's the other thing that goes in line with that. While that's a nuisance and a pain, and I don't like it, and nobody likes it, and as a matter of fact, I put the blame both on Amazon and on Hasbro because you shouldn't be making all this stuff exclusive. Exclusivity has become a problem. I get it. From a corporate standpoint, people make bigger orders and they pay a certain premium for something to be exclusive to their store, whether that's online or brick and mortar. But it's frustrating to fans. And you know what fans do? Fans go back and they say, as a business, you should have made sure to order enough to cover your pre-orders. And then they go back to Hasbro and say, stop making this stuff exclusive. There's a right way and a wrong way to do exclusive. Ironhide, Prowl, Ratchet, Ramjet, Dirge, Thrust, none of those should be exclusive.
I agree.
Corden, Make it exclusive. Not everybody's going to want it. Rotor Storm. I get it. He's beautiful, great mold, but like not everybody's going to be in for him. Make him an exclusive. I get that. Tiger Track. Fine, make him an exclusive. But anybody who appeared on the cartoon, anybody who has a history, who could be someone's favorite, should not be exclusive. The Seeker 2-pack. You know what? Starscream went out everywhere. Why is the Seeker 2-pack, at least they're 2-pack this time, but why is the Seeker 2-pack an exclusive? And what if you don't live in Canada or the United States? What if you don't have Target or Toys R Us? What do you do then?
I know, and the fans. Oh yeah, I mean, when Larkin Lair said sometimes you can go to Amazon, Japan, the Amazon thing, and I've done that, and I have gotten lucky to get certain characters that I had on order, also, from the regular Amazon from America, and the ones that came from Japan came in first, so I canceled the other order because I don't have a need to have doubles of the same figure. So
that's right.
And I canceled the order, and I was like, okay, that rocks. I finally got these characters here. But as a reviewer, especially 2020 has been a crazy year. I swear, when the new year happens, we need to holler Jumanji to get out of this game. Because
funny, I saw not long ago, I was at Walmart and I was walking past an aisle, and I actually saw 4 copies of the game Jumanji, and I was like, I'm not picking that up.
Oh man,
I'm not doing it. Like it's actually a board game now. It's actually out there. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
You're living it. It's 2020 right now. We're living it. This has been the craziest year. But as a reviewer, what do you find this the most challenging to get your audience or catch your audience?
Most challenging?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not sure I know what you mean. What do you mean most challenging to catch my audience? Give me an example.
Okay, example is like, to be able to catch them in that first minute of the show. What do you do to prepare, get your mindset to be able to catch that audience immediately, even if it's a new person or a subscriber? Instantly.
I don't know. I'm very kind of shock and awe. Like I kind of sit down and right away I know what I'm going to be going to. I try to exude the energy that I'm going with. Sometimes, especially if it's something that's been reviewed by every kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry, in that first minute or so, I try to give a nod to like what the added value is going to be here. So very early on, either before the opening plays or certainly during the intro, I try to, like with Scorponok, I say how we're going to look at everything to do with him, and he's not perfect, he's fantastic, but he's not perfect. We're going to talk about why, and we're going to kind of conclude things by looking at the ultimate Decepticon base and kind of what we have that can be part of that for my collection and your collection. Hopefully that sort of thing pulls people forward. I think a lot of it, I hope a lot of it comes down to personality. I like to think that those who know me know that they can kind of take to the bank. Like I'm not an easily impressed guy. I'm really not. I'm not the dude who's going to say everything is wonderful, everything is excellent. Every time something new comes out, it's always better than the last. Because guess what? It ain't. I'm critical. But if I like something, you can take it to the bank. I think a lot of it just comes down to putting your energy out there. I think if somebody starts off boring, I get bored. If somebody starts off with energy and you can tell like they're enthused to show you this, then I get enthused and I continue watching. So I guess I kind of try to give what works for me, what engages me, and hope it engages other people.
It's a great thing that I've always found that's interesting is to be able to see someone's passion and instantly see that passion, and you know it's genuine. And if any of you have not watched his reviews or his live streams, and we're going to talk about some of the stop motion stuff that he also does. Yeah. You really need to check it out. There is a link, so in the bottom of the description here.
I tell you, the live show, when I started that a little over a year ago, I did it just to live stream. I learned, that's a thing I can do. I've never done it before. I'll give it a try. And it started out small. Like, I mean, my first, several months. I mean, if I had 5 to 10 people in there, like that was a ton. And I mean, I had at the time, I guess a couple of thousand subs or something. Now it's really kind of become a thing. Like the usual people are in there, and it's great to hang out with everybody that, for that hour or so. But it's always new people coming in. And I find that every week, like I'm getting 40, 45, 50 people come in there. And it's a good time. It's a good way to head into the weekend. And what I've learned since the world has gone upside down, I've actually had people who have contacted me that I talked to who have said, I look forward to it. You give me something to look forward to. I look forward to, kind of hanging out with everybody. Or people will say like, oh, it's been such a stressful week. We've had this, that, and the other thing going on. I'm looking forward to the show and hanging out with everyone and having just a good time heading into the weekend. When people come to me and say that they see that value, that it's something that they look forward to, then that motivates me to keep going. And while I could do a ton of live shows and live streams, I try to keep it to just that one, because it allows me to have like a schedule that I'm going to cover. And it's something that is kind of special that one time a week that now I know people kind of look forward to. It's kind of like the countdowns. Like they've taken on a wild life of their own with the voting. It's a ton of work, but I've had a lot of people who have said like they go back and they just watch the whole playlist of the countdowns over and over just to kind of see, who votes for what, where, see if they can get any patterns of how the voting goes. It's wild, the stuff that people come back to me with.
Which is awesome how you do that. I was going to actually mention that. How do you plan for that? Especially since you're giving it to the audience, and pretty much the audience is what's given back to you. How do you balance that? Because they are amazing. Because I'm like, I couldn't do it. I'm not going to lie. I'll be like, Lord have mercy. I forget how to tie my shoes sometimes, or chew gum and walk. But
I have a list of question topics. Some people have asked me, where do you vote? And I'm like, it's all over social media. I got 18 Facebook groups it goes in. It goes on the GotBot Facebook page. It goes on my Instagram, my Twitter. It even goes on Pinterest, and it goes in a couple of other places. It goes on the community tab. So it goes everywhere. And some people have said, why is there not an actual poll? Well, there's not an actual poll because it's an open-ended vote. What gets me and what kills me is people I don't know if they don't understand. I don't know if they don't read or what, but like I'll say, vote in the comments with a specific character name or the top 10. And people will say like groups, like they say the Dinobots. I'm like, that's a group. That's not a specific character name. Which Dinobots? Or they'll say all of them. Or they'll say all the Autobots. That makes no sense. There's 10 slots. Or somebody will list like 35 people. Like, it's impossible. And I think to myself, when it comes to like actual like elections for world leaders and stuff, like, do you understand how voting works?
Oh,
like, I'm just throwing it out there. Some of them have been harder. I tried to get some of the harder topics, like favorite quotes, out of the way, because I was like, that's going to be hard for me to just keep track of. Sometimes I'll choose a topic where I'm like, you know what? There's only a limited number of choices, so the votes will be easier to tally and count up. And then sometimes I'll be like, I don't even know if there's going to be 10 options. And I'll get something like 800 votes cast.
Oh, wow.
It runs till midnight. I always say midnight Wednesday. People are like, what midnight? What time zone? And I'm like, my midnight. But I do have a little bit of flex, because what I'll do is I'll get up Thursday morning and I'll see what the last few stragglers are, and I'll see what time they made their comment. And honestly, I'll look at it and I'll say, my midnight, if we go across the country, then there's a 4.5 hour difference. So really it could go till 4:30 a.m. my time. And I look and I see when people commented, and if I feel like it could count because it wasn't at their midnight, I'll do it. But then somebody will like make a comment like Thursday evening or like Friday or like Saturday morning. And I'll be like, that's a great pick, but you missed the cutoff. Every week, it's the same cutoff. So, like, I do that so that I have a window to amass the votes, but then it gives me time to tally them together.
Right.
And then actually record the countdown to go up on Friday. That might, now that I'm back to work, that might change a bit. The countdown might become a Saturday thing. We'll have to see how it goes going forward. I got to see what my workflow is going to be like for that, because there's a lot of prep work for it. and then you actually have to do the list. And like this week, I did one that was more challenging, the obscure characters. And some people said, wait, we're voting on obscure characters, but if a bunch of people vote for someone, isn't that a popular character then and not so much obscure? And I was like, you know what? You're kind of right. So I done the countdown being the way that people voted, but then I done another list in the same video after of 10 characters that I knew of that are obscure that got 0 votes.
Oh, wow.
And none of them were there. And a lot of people come back and said it's like a double countdown. It was a really interesting way to do it. It was a ton more work for me, but it seems to have gotten a really good reaction.
And yeah, and we have a question. I'm going to pop it up because it goes right into the next thing. Ultimate Wolf is asking, because I do too, because I look at the stuff that you do and I'm like, how do you have time to do all of it? He's going to say, you know, what is your next custom are you going to be doing? Because he also does custom work on his Transformers too, and which are dynamic. So
I do a lot of custom work.
Yeah. How do you, what's the next one you got coming up if you don't mind sharing?
A lot of times, honestly, I don't know what it's going to be until the time comes. Now, I have some Titan Masters. A couple of them I plan to do as a couple of the Japanese only ones. We'll see how that works out. I'm waiting on, I kind of don't want to say, I have an idea for Minerva in mind.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to say I'm for sure doing that yet. I need to wait on figuring out if I can actually get the body that I want to use for, which would be the getaway body, actually, the getaway breakaway body.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the best from that line to use for it because of the colors. I think I could do the work to kind of move that around a bit. So I'm thinking about a Minerva, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
That's very. So I did my first. It's called Larkins challenged me to do a custom. My wife thought it was hilarious because she's like, "Oh my God, y'all are really pushing him out of his comfort." He's like, OCD. He's got his figures from his kids, this section, and he's got all this. And y'all are going to ask him to customize one of these figures. And so she ended up buying me 2 of them, and I did one and put the other one with my prowls. But yeah, that's time and that's dedication. And I say kudos, dude. Because your stuff is magnificent.
Some of it is really trial and error. Like I go back, it's funny. Like everybody's like, you know, you got to use these expensive paints. You got to, make sure that you do airbrushing. And like, those are great. Those things are fantastic. If you can do them, if you got the money and you got the interest, great. But you don't have to go that route. There's a cheaper, easier way to do it. In fact, some things are such minute detail that really you have to use a small brush, or sometimes I use a toothpick.
Oh, okay.
You know, if my most recent custom would have to be Death Cobra.
Okay.
And I was lucky that I found a KO of that helicopter that was green, that had a green base to begin with. But like the head was a Shapeways head that. It's funny. The KO actually for the head had a mushroom peg instead of a ball joint, and the head was made to go on a ball joint. So I had to kind of build a ball joint. I used Bondic to build the ball joint, which was rough. That's a lot of work to do that. And I still filled in the back of the head a bit. But I had to paint the head. You're not going to airbrush a head. You're not going to airbrush eye details and the little fangs. You can't. You can't even use a brush for it, really. I would suggest using the bristle of a toothbrush for it, or using the tip of a toothpick to do fine details like eyes. I did a custom of Earthrise Optimus. I done his biceps red. The biceps being done red is brutal because there's a lot of paint rub that happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, what I find helps is paint it on. I personally like using a gloss, thin layer. Probably use a damp brush because it spreads it, easier. And after you put on a few coats, honestly, I find a little spray of Tester's clear coat does wonders. Some people have said, I wouldn't use that. I'm like, I've used it a ton. I've used it 100 times, and it's worked gangbusters every time. So I don't know what you're doing with your customs, but I would not use a like a brush-on clear coat, all you're asking to do is to mess up your paint. A spray is definitely the way to go.
The other thing is because since you do customs and you have such a variety of transformers,
Yep.
what line has been one of your worst lines that you've had to deal with, and then I also want to know what was one of your favorite lines.
Okay. Worst line would have to be the Last Night.
Okay.
Man, that was brutal. Beautiful sculpt, some beautiful paintwork, but like some of what was in that was brutal. Really was. Like, I love that barricade. It's still my barricade. But like dealing with the shoulder's a nuisance. The Optimus, I was hard on. The Voyager Optimus, I was hard on in that line because like the guy could barely bend his knee. Like, come on. For what you are charging, and he can't even get a full 90-degree knee bend. To me, that was unacceptable. I didn't like it. Steel Bane, beautiful sculpt. The thing is a disaster and falls apart if you look at it funny. So yeah, the Last Night was definitely a rough line. Favorite line, so to speak. Oh man. A lot of people would default and say Earthrise or Siege, and they've been great, but they've also been expensive. So I expect them to be that. I'm going to say Titan's Return. I think Titan's Return for me was the best value for money. The prices hadn't gone nuts, and we got some excellent offerings that were really creative with the engineering department. Like, I look at Trigger Happy. I love that mold. I know some people had some QC issues with like two of the same arm and stuff, but if you were able to avoid the QC issues, it's a solid, interesting mold with a lot of moving parts. Or, for example, the Top Spin Twin Twist mold.
Oh yeah,
amazing mold. Really fantastic stuff was done in that line at a reasonable price.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not a big Megatron fan, so I don't have a lot of Megatrons in my collection. But from the Titans Megatron, that was also the Astro Train. Was the Blitzwing. I really thoroughly still enjoy it. I like that. That's my Megatron over even the Siege Megatron. I still like his look. I like his feel. I like the stickers.
Yeah.
Beautiful figure. I thoroughly enjoy that. Now, since you do a lot of Transformers, is there any other type of line? We have another question, which is, what else do you collect besides Transformers?
Don't anymore. It's too expensive. That's the thing. I'd love to. Like, I used to have some Joes, and I see like the 6-inch line. I'm living vicariously. They haven't shown up here. I'm not really in for the 6-inch line. It's too big. I got nowhere to store it. I will definitely get some of the 3 1/4 inch when they come out again, because I'm missing a few. I've never really showed it off because I don't know, like I don't have enough really to show it off, and a lot of them are just old. A couple of Cobra Commanders, like I have a hooded Cobra Commander, and I have the glass face Cobra Commander. I could use a better Destro, you know. I love Mask. When they put out the Thunderbird stuff a few years ago, I was tempted even to get the Thunderbird stuff. I thought that was great. I think the Masters of the Universe looks great too, but honestly, I don't have the space for it. I really don't have the space for it. And like, you know, you take, for example, something like the 6-inch size, okay? Here, anything that's 6-inch is $30.
Oh, wow.
Pop. So like if you have like a wave of 4, just to get that wave of 4, you're looking at $120 plus tax. It's too expensive, man.
That is, wow.
You know, like Marvel Legends are beautiful, but like $30 a pop.
Yeah. See, I used, like TF Angie says, I used to buy Legos. I did too, man. I did too, but they became too expensive. They started going. I had to choose: do I want to still get Transformers or get Legos? And you just don't have enough space for Legos. I mean, you can only, especially when you get the buildings and everything.
Yeah.
That it just became more and more expensive, and I was like, I just can't see paying the price for Legos as they are now. I am looking forward to the He-Man line. I have not seen them yet. I've seen people's reviews. I've seen people's their pictures of it.
The what?
The He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Oh man, it's funny, you know. Somebody told me that they'd shown up locally. Now, I didn't really see it. I saw these little, almost like blind box things, and then I saw Cringer or Battle Cat, whatever you want to call it. He looks glorious. And then I happened to be at a store, and I happened to see Evelyn
Oh, nice.
and Man at Arms. And Man at Arms both of them look amazing. There was no Skeletor, there was no He-Man, but man, they look so good. And the fact that they're really like kind of almost mimicking the traditional molding, like can get that stance but have more articulation.
Yeah.
I think that Mattel is doing something very special with this line. I really do. And I think that as it gets out and around more, I think it's going to be super hot. So is the Ghostbusters line. That's going to be super hot too.
Oh yeah. And with the He-Man line that I've noticed too is the fact that for here in the States, they're only $15.
Right.
You know, I know it's probably more for you up there, but is it less than like the G.I. Joes?
You know what's really interesting?
Yeah.
You said it's $15. I tell you what's really interesting. The ones I saw were, get ready for this, $15.
Really?
Really.
So same
and
price.
I was like, wow. $14.99, and I was like, that is the perfect price for this. That is exactly correct what it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how 100%. It is here. And every time I go to the Walmart or the Target, they're sold out. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. I know a guy who has all four. Again, like I know what I'm like, because I would look at it and be like, well, if I'm into this, then I need Battle Cat. Okay, I got Battle Cat, so now I need Skeletor's Panther. I'm gonna have to have Castle Grayskull. I'm gonna have to have Snake Mountain. I know what I'm like. Like if I go down another rabbit hole, I'm done for.
Yeah, Nikki already knows. She's like, because I still have my He-Man from when I was a kid. I still got my Snake Mountain, my Castle Grayskull, and I know for a fact that I used to get the Matty Collector when it came out. I used to do the Matty Collector.
Yep.
So I know for a fact when He-Man, I finally get him, Nikki knows that rabbit is going to happen. And she's like, so we have limited us on the Transformers because there's so many lines. So we've cut out the Studio Series, we cut out the kid line, and we're just focusing on the Generations, especially since we have He-Man.
That's what I'm focusing. Yeah, I'm focusing on Generations now too. I get a scattered Studio Series, but I'm mostly focusing on Generations now because again, like you got to look at the prices, and we're usually, I'm going to tell you now, we're typically about 2 years ahead of the pricing reaching you guys.
Okay.
Like you guys right now, for example, for a deluxe, you're paying $20, right? Right. Okay. So we've been paying $20 for a deluxe since, say Power of the Primes was say $20 for a deluxe, right? And that was what, 2018, 2020. Now you're paying $20 for a deluxe.
Okay.
The next jump from $20 for us was $30 for a deluxe. So I'd say expect it.
Wow.
You guys now for a Voyager, I think you're paying $30.
Mm-hmm.
We've been paying $30 for a Voyager since Combiner Wars. They tried to go to 35 then, and nothing sold, so they dropped it back to 30 again. Now we're paying for a Voyager 40.
Wow.
A leader for you was 50, or it for you is 50. It was for us. Now it's $69.99, or depending on the store, $74.99.
Do you think that as we're seeing them coming out with the Commander class, we're probably coming to the end of the Titan class that they're coming? Do you think they're making the figures smaller? Because when you see a lot of stuff that's coming out for the Kingdom, it looks like they're having smaller figures. And could we see that maybe the Commander class will be the new Titan class?
I think that for the next couple of years, you're going to see Commander take place at Titan. I think Titan is becoming a dying size class globally because you've done the main ones. Even in Japan, they've done Grand Max. I'm sure that they're going to repaint the Scorponok and get Black Zarak out of it. For me, I don't think either of that makes sense because Grand Max was just slightly taller than God Bomber, and Black Zarak was significantly smaller than Scorponok in the programs. So I feel like they should be smaller sizes. Anyway, like Toy World's Grant is a good size a good size for Grand Max. But for somebody who would want them as Titans, you're going to have those done. What's really left that makes sense at that size class? Some people have said Tidal Wave. I don't think it makes sense at a Titan size class. He's a boat. It wouldn't make sense to have him be the same size as bases and cities.
Okay.
So I think that Tidal Wave would fit good in Commander class. I feel like there's a few that could fit in Commander class nicely, and I feel like almost quietly we're going to see Titan class go away. We might get an Arc playset. We might get a Nemesis playset, but I think its days are numbered just because of the feasibility of making it.
But that's a question that Eddie Prowl has. He says, does a play set of the Arc interest you if it doesn't transform? It's just a play set because that has been released and that's going to be another Titan.
Let me put it to you this way. The rumor is that that's going to be a Titan and that's going to be a set. If it's $250, no, I'm not remotely interested, not even slightly. Because, again, I look at it and I say it's a ship. I don't think it should be the same size as Metroplex City. I get it. I think it's cool. I think in concept it's neat. And I understand that they're doing it to try and keep Titan class and stuff alive. And I know a lot of people have clamored for it. It's not that I'm not interested in it, but like, honestly, I got nowhere to store it. Mm-hmm. And if it's $250, no, it doesn't make sense to me. I would live vicariously on that. I think Scorponok is my swan song for Titan. I think what's going to happen, though, over time is you're going to see not only Titans like kind of quietly go away until they're ready to one day update, Metroplex again. Mm-hmm. By then I'll be an old guy who'll say, nah, what I got is good. I got him for $90. And somebody will say, $90? The new one is selling for only $750. It's a steal. It'll be a bargain. But I think that eventually, after Titan goes away, I think you're going to see Commander start to get smaller. And one day we're going to say, remember when Commander class was big? And we're going to look at a Commander class next to a leader class like Star Convoy or something. And we're going to say, wow, look how small Commanders have gotten. You look at something like Star Convoy or that Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, and you put that next to something like the Voyager class Vector Prime from from 10 years or so earlier, and they're the same height. I think what we're going to see is Commander will become the new leader, leader will become the new Voyager, Voyager the new Deluxe, Deluxe the new Legend, and then this core class is going to be the smallest class.
Yeah, I can agree with that, especially when we got the Skylinks and you have a city mode with it. And,
right.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I think this is a preparation because you look at the Power of the Primes, they did it where you could have Orion Pax and then you could have a leader class Optimus Prime, but it was just extra plastic. You couldn't really do anything with the shell of the body unless you got a third party to put in its spot.
And I'm going to tell you too, honestly, like I look at the actual mass of things. Mm-hmm. Forget about height. Okay, forget about height. Let's look at the mass. The mass is the measure of the actual plastic content, the product, the paint. What is there? What have they allotted to it? And I get that some people are saying, okay, but they're given an amount of plastic and they allot it over these different size classes. And that's why we have some tall deluxes and some small deluxes and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but let's look specifically at leader class.
Yes.
Traditionally, and I can take Blaster, I can take Soundwave from Titan's Return, I can take Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, I can take Star Convoy, I can take anything, Overlord, Sky Shadow, whatever you want, and weigh them all for mass. And we get somewhere around 315 to 320 grams of mass. Okay, that's the plastic content in it, a liter. Nothing we've gotten in Siege or Earthrise comes close to it, except for Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime, that's 325, and the Ultra Magnus is 325. So I get the price increase. We're literally getting more mass of plastic. Mm-hmm. It's condensed, so it's not as tall, but we're getting more product. We should be paying more.
Yeah, it's kind of like one Double Dealer. I mean, that to me was a justification for me to get him as a leader class.
Well, yeah, I mean, Double Dealer is wonderful, but from what I've seen, it's not a leader class. And I predict that when I, when I get him and I do the mass for him, I predict he's going to be somewhere around Astro Train. And Astro Train was like 292 grams of plastic with all of his junk on.
Yes.
That's not a liter.
Nope.
Shockwave with all of his junk on, 215. That's not close to being a liter. But not only do they call it liter, but around here they were charging us $10 to $15 more for that much less plastic. I'm sorry. Like, that's why it's not selling. That's why places like Walmart are starting to say, I don't know if we're going to carry that size class, because the boxes were on the shelves for so long that I could go with my finger and go along the top and wipe the dust off of them, because people would look at it and say, $75, you're nuts. You've got to be out of your mind. No. And they ended up, Shockwave, if you can believe this, was put on clearance and put on clearance and put on clearance. Finally, they just wanted it out of the building. They just wanted it gone. Shockwaves went down to $9.
Wow. And $9. Yeah, and it, and looking at that, I mean, we still have Shockwaves around where I live. This is the only Siege character that is still on the shelves. As we're coming to the 15-minute mark, I do want to ask one thing, before, and also want you to share where they can find you. But we haven't got a chance to cover your stop motion.
Yeah.
So with the stop motion, which you also do, I'm telling you, he's a jack of all trades. I mean, this man. When I found out he also has a full-time job, I'm like, wait a second, this isn't his full-time job. This is passion. And so with that, as we're coming to the 15-minute mark, explain to some of the things that no one's ever seen the stop motion and what it's about. It's got a great story. Got a lot of great.
So I had the story. It's funny because I actually years ago shared the story with Hasbro, and I find it very interesting now that we are having Kingdom, where we have Beast Wars characters interacting mysteriously with Autobots and Decepticons. I'm like, okay, sure. I had the story. I'm going to say a good. From when I started filming in 2016, I had the story about 6 years before that. So I've had the story since about 2012 or so.
Wow.
And I'm somebody who's always been all about canon. Things got to fit in canon. I hate reboots and restarts. If it doesn't fit in canon, it bugs me. And sometimes, for my own OCD, I suppose, I've had stuff that doesn't fit in canon that I've sort of retconned myself to fit it into my head canon. And I eventually had this idea of, what if all of these realities, all of these universes, all of these everything collapsed into one? What would happen if everything, all of these Optimuses that we know, the RID Optimus, where he's the fire truck, the Armada Optimus, the Cybertron Optimus, the Transformers Prime Optimus, the movie Optimus, the G1 Optimus, what if all of them, Rescue Bots Optimus, what if all of them collapsed into one universe? Every Optimus that ever existed all collapsed into one body. Oh. How would that work? How would that happen? What would happen there? Who would be the cause of that? And then I thought, of course, who the cause of it's going to be? Got to be Unicron. That's the only way to make it happen. And I came up with this idea of maybe there's a way that it can actually look like it's the Decepticons, and Unicron's actually manipulating things. And all of season 1 has Unicron really manipulating Megatron's thirst for power, and leads Megatron to believe that, look, if you help me, I'll give you, this matrix of chaos that will give you all of this knowledge and power. I'll give you the Decepticons a home world, all of this stuff. And Megatron fell for it. Truth is, Unicron had no intention of giving the Decepticons a home world or anything. He just wanted to escape Limbo, because he got imprisoned in Limbo by Primus many, many eons ago. And using a device that Megatron had, he was able to basically open all these portals and pull all of reality into Limbo and basically feast on it all, leaving one atom, one thing he could return to one universe so he could expand to the feeding point again. And that's the universe that we're in now. Everything has collapsed to this one universe. And Unicron was brilliant in it because he escaped Limbo, and in the process, trapped Primus in that same prison. Primus knew he was beaten, knew he was weak, so through the portal that Unicron escaped through, several Transformers were released from Primus's body and went through it. The portal closed, and now Primus and Alpha Trion are trapped in limbo. And all of the primes, all of the Transformers were like, well, if Primus is in limbo, that means Cybertron is in limbo. So what's in this universe? What is lying in space where Cybertron should be? Got to be something there.
Right.
Or maybe there's nothing there. And through the last bit of power that Primus has, he makes Alpha Trion send basically an astral projection to give his final orders to 4 primes at the 4 corners of this universe. And they're all supposed to converge at the coordinates in space where Cybertron should be, and then go to the location of the Well of Allsparks, or where the Well of Allsparks should be. And they have 4 prime artifacts that they should bring together there, and hopefully that will be able to release Primus from his prison. Unfortunately, Unicron's aware of this. Decepticons are aware of this. The indigenous life forms on the planet are aware of all this. And right now, the way it stands is we've learned that the planet there is Oricris, and that the sentient core of that planet is the Oracle.
Okay.
And it's basically ruled now by hundreds of Decepticons. Right now, there's about 300 or so Decepticons there, and the only resistance to them, as where the story currently stands, as we're heading into the season finale for season 2. Right now, all the Decepticons are there, and the only resistance is a ragtag group of 4 led by Dinobot.
Oh, nice.
So the other primes and all of their forces are on the way, but they're not there yet, and the Decepticons already have a stronghold. Not to mention, they're also technically being led by the Fallen, who of course is in cahoots with Unicron. So episode 12, episode 13, which will be the 2-part season finale for season 2, is going to be sheer chaos. I was telling a couple of the voice actors that I have that in episode 12, there's about 450 characters that at least make appearances in it.
Nice. Wow.
So there's a lot. It's a very expansive story. And if you go back to like episode 1, like it's not the best done. Even now, there's stuff I still learn and still things I want to improve on and whatnot. But if you look at the first episode and look at what I did most recently in episode 11, like there's a world of difference. And some people have said, why don't you go back and like redo, re-edit, whatever, those early episodes? And I always give the same answer. So many people look at stop motion and they say, I could never do that. I want you to be able to see where I started, how trash I was when I started, to where I am now. Know that you can always learn, you can always improve. I do what I can. I've done a bunch of tutorials and whatnot, over time to try and show different things. And I always say, if you have a story to tell, try doing it. What you do early on is going to be your best work, but it's not going to be the best that you can be if you keep being a student of the game and keep learning it. The biggest thing is never stop learning and have an abundance of patience.
Yes.
I mean, an abundance of patience.
Yeah. Nikki would teach in art class. She would teach the stop motion, and I tried to do it one time, and I was like, I may attempt it later, but that is a lot of work.
It is. Yeah,
So
it is.
with that, with everything that you have going on, where can people find you, and where's the quickest everything?
Well, of course, I'm right here on YouTube. And honestly, if you look up GotBot, I mean, I think I'm the only one. I think you're probably going to find me. If you Google GotBot, same thing. I come up pretty readily. There's the GotBot Facebook page. There is my Twitter. There's my Instagram. There's what else there? There's my Pinterest even. Honestly, I don't even know what all of the addies are. Like, I don't know what all of the addresses are. Like, I think my Twitter might be like @DennisMoulton1. I think it might. But all of the links for all of those things are always in the description of all my videos. Honestly, if you just Google GotBot, I think that the first things that probably come up are a couple of tweets and probably a couple of things from my Instagram. If you go there, man, join. We're almost at 1,000 Instagram followers too. I'm
Nice.
closing in there. I'm at like 991 or 992 or something. So I'm closing in on almost 1,000 Instagram followers too.
Very nice. That is awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. As we are coming to the end, I'm very proud to say that this will also be on two platforms. It'll be on this one for a little bit, and then I'm going to have it re-uploaded to the Community for All of Us YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed there yet, guys, please go and do so. We'll be having Instagram. We'll also have the Facebook and other things. And remember, as a Community for All of Us, it's exactly that, because this community is awesome. And I thank you so much, GotBot, for hanging out with me and doing this.
Oh, it's last night.
I appreciate it. And that's all the time we have. Please check this out on Anchor. A Community for All of Us is also on any platform that is a podcast now, that you can actually just type it in and you'll be able to find the show. Thank y'all so much. Have a great one. And again, thank you for being with us. Bye, guys.